To the backlash over President Trump's now deleted racist social media post depicting former President Obama and former First Lady Michelle Obama as apes. Images of Black people as apes have been used throughout American history to dehumanize and stigmatize the community. The fallout is rippling through the Republican Party now. Chief Washington correspondent John Karl interviewed Republican Congressman Mike Lawler on ABC's This Week. Here's part of their conversation.
Look, I think sometimes in our public discourse, it is best to just say, I'm sorry. I take the White House at their word that this was a mistake. But at the end of the day, given the history of our nation, given the insensitivities with some of the stereotypes that have long been promulgated to attack African Americans, I think it's imperative to recognize that and meet the moment.
For more now, Mark Morial, president of the National Urban League, joins me live. Mark, thank you so much for being with us. Good morning to you. So you just heard there from Congressman Mike Lawler. What do you make of how many Republicans have been responding so far? Republicans have there has been condemnation so far in a way that we've not seen many Republicans speak out against the president.
Janae, it is not enough. What I'd like to see is the Congress of the United States pass a resolution of condemnation of these reprehensible remarks. It's important in this moment that every elected member of Congress be on record in condemnation of this. This was a disparagement of two great Americans who've served this country, who are outside of active politics today, and just a continuation of a pattern coming from the 47th president. The second observation I would make is I am absolutely certain, Janae, that the American people do not want a president who revels in division, racial division, political division, sectional division, division every day to condemn some Americans for some physical characteristic, for some political characteristic, and that what the people of this country want is a leader and leaders who seek to unite a very diverse and varied nation. And so this flunks the presidential leadership test by 1,000 miles. And that's the point. We need to focus on what we want our presidents to do, and that is to work towards unity. This has just been a pattern of continuing division and disparagement. And I want to condemn it as forcefully as I can because it is untoward. But those members of Congress, condemnation here and there from certain members who may think it's in their political interest, doesn't go far enough. We need a unified Congress to say, by way of a resolution, this is unacceptable, Mr. President, and we want you to know that it is unacceptable.
And so, Mark, what do you make of President Trump's reaction when he was asked about this? He refused to apologize, saying, quote, "I didn't make a mistake."
Because he's following the advice he got years ago from Roy Cohn. Never admit anything. And, you know, Janae, to admit and to apologize from time to time is an act of human humility. And when we see leaders do it, it demonstrates sense of character. It doesn't surprise me that he wouldn't take responsibility. And the fact that he would not very quickly take responsibility and say it was wrong is why the Congress, by joint resolution, should condemn this. And faith leaders and American citizens should say, we don't want a president that divides us by party all the time, by race, by gender orientation, by religion. This is not who we are as a nation. And that's the important reason why we speak up against these things. This is not who we are. This is not the nation that we are. And that's why I think the president's approval numbers have become so low, because people want a president who works hard every day to find common ground and to unite us, doesn't make disparaging statements. Look, Barack Obama and Michelle Obama are revered Americans, and they've conducted themselves with great dignity and purpose over the years. They don't deserve this kind of gutter attack that this certainly represents. And so I hope that the Congress will not, we've not heard from Leader Thune. We've not heard from Speaker Johnson. Where are their voices in this? And I would call them at this moment to speak up to what your character and your principles are, even if it means you've got to have the courage to criticize the leader of your own party. That's what leadership is all about.
And Mark, I have to ask you, it is Black History Month. What do you make of the timing of this post?
It's awful, but what's also awful is that this president has failed to even recognize Black History Month in the way in which every president in the past has. Remember, Black History Month is by law recognized in February. And so it's just a continuing string of insults to the American people and certainly to those of us in the Black community. But we're not going to be deterred, and we're not going to be intimidated, and we're going to speak out. And I think the majority of the Americans stand with us when it comes to the notion that we do not want leaders that spend their time constantly dividing us. No, that's not who we are as a nation. And the president, who I've never met, I think that he has an opportunity in a moment like this to demonstrate a sense of character and not just continue to follow the advice he got from Roy Cohn years ago, which is never to admit anything, never to apologize for anything. Okay, that may be your position, but that's why I want Congress to do its job and condemn, which was really, really just absolutely reprehensible, but to send a bigger message, and that is we do not want to constantly be divided every day with rhetoric and aspersions and divisions.
Mark Morial, president of the National Urban League, thank you so much for spending time with us this morning. We appreciate you.